Alrighty, guys. So welcome to the 3 steps to building a full-time photography business mini course. I'm beyond excited to have you here. The fact that you're watching this video shows that you are in the mindset of wanting to build a full-time photography business. Now, if you already have a business that's very successful and it's running and it's generating lots and lots of new customers, then maybe this isn't for you, right? But if you're needing to build your business, if you're desiring to have a business that you could live off of, right? Pay your mortgage, you and your spouse and your family can live off of it, then this is probably the course for you. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So 3 things we're going to learn today, right? 3 major pillars to be able to build a full-time photography business, right? I'm just going to give you the outline. Pillar number one is you must have a marketing and client acquisition process. Okay. And we'll talk about that here shortly. Pillar number 2, you have to have automation and systems set up, okay? And pillar number 3, you have to figure out the art of delegation, okay? So these are the 3 major pillars to building a full-time photography business, and we're gonna kind of chop this thing up and dive into it here in just a second. So before we get started, who am I, right? I'm just some random person that's about to teach you a training. So it might be good just to figure out who I am, right? So great question. Well, I'm a very average person, okay, running a photography business in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas with my amazing wife, Lauren. My name is Colin. And so Lauren actually works directly with all of her clients. She does the photography. I think if you gave me a camera, I would not be able to shoot an image worth anything. But so anyway, Lauren does all of the photography. That's her gift. It really is. And I do all of the marketing and systems for our photography business. And we do mostly personal branding. So we work with lots of realtors and business owners in our area. Okay. And our business is called Lauren Bethany Photography. So here's a quick photo of us, kind of what we look like. So there we are. Obviously, I am on the left. Lauren, very sweet, great, fantastic wife on the right. And we actually, it's funny, Lauren's sister actually took this photo at one of the natural light studios we use for all of our clients. We use this studio every single week, but we never actually, took photos of ourselves. And I'm not a big, picture person. I don't really, I'm not very photogenic. I don't really like to be on camera that often. Lauren does more than I, but anyway, her sister took that photo. And Lauren's always saying we don't have that many photos. So anyway, I'm sure you can relate if you're a photographer. You probably don't have that many photos of yourself, right? And now kind of to the cheesy part, how much money do you make question, right? It's obviously if you're going to watch a training video, you kind of want to know the person that's, giving you this training, that they're actually running a business, right? I know it's something that I personally care about. And so basically, right, I'll kind of give you the rundown. We were able to take our business from about, $1,000 a month, even less than that, because Lauren and I were both working at the time. And so we were just kind of dabbling with photography. She's been doing it for years. I mean, since she was in high school, but we never really started a business with it. So we started out at about $1,000 a month, right? Just organically, people we knew, like some referrals here and there. And then we got serious and we were able to scale it to about $18,000 a month after 8 months of implementing the stuff that I'm about to show you. And then a few months later, we were able to do just over $25,000 a month. Okay. And I'll show you a screenshot here in a second. And again, yes, it's extremely cheesy, right? Showing screenshots and stuff like that. But I'm sure you probably want to know that we're actually doing business, right? So, and also I should probably caveat by saying maybe some of you guys want to learn from folks that are doing, like $50,000 a month or $100,000 a month in their photography business. We're not at that level yet. And so if that's kind of what you're looking for, people that are doing $1 million a year with their photography business, probably not the right training for you. But again, just wanted to let you know where we're at, but no worries either way. So let's kind of get started with the screenshot. So if you look, this is our Square account. We use Square to process our transactions. You notice I have there's a little tab, a YouTube tab, lo-fi hip hop. I love lo-fi music. So if you've never heard of lo-fi, it's very mellow music to work to. So anyway, so you'll see this is in April 2020. We just made over $1,400 cash collected. So that was kind of the start of us getting serious. There's a lot of more backstory to us getting started, but I'll save that for another training. Okay, fast forward to November of 2020, you'll see we definitely increased the amount of revenue, right? So just over 18K cash collected for the month of November, right? You'll see 87 total transactions. We take 50% deposits up front, and then they pay the second half at the session. So essentially 87 divided by 2 is how many people we worked with that month, right? If that makes sense. And then fast forward to the month of January, so the new year of 2021, we had a total of just over 26K cash collected. So really cool. It's truly been a blessing for us. We even noticed a little refund there, I guess. That's funny. Which will happen, for whatever reason. So, but anyway, 26K cash collected. So truly a blessing for us. Lauren and I have always wanted to work together, to operate some sort of business together. So it really has been quite a blessing. And anyway, that's kind of our story in regard to money. So like I said, it's pretty cheesy showing you the screenshots, but I know some people, including myself, like to make sure that, the people you listen to are actually doing this stuff, not just teaching, right? So no knock on anybody else. But anyway, so we might, again, I just want to say again, we might not be at the level of revenue that, desires you listening to us. And that's cool too, right? So we're still continuing to build and dial things in as well. So anyway, just want to, say we're not everything to everybody. So, and I should also mention the stuff I'm going to dive into here in just a minute is absolutely not a guarantee that you're going to get the same results, right? In fact, a lot of you, based off of data, are going to try this stuff and not really get hardly any results, right? I just want to be transparent with you guys that this stuff takes work, right? It's not a get rich quick thing. It's not I'm guaranteeing you to make 26K, within the next year. You might see some wins. You might also fail quite a bit. And essentially that's our story, right? We're still failing forward. We're still learning. We're still getting wins, getting losses, and just moving forward, right? Business. That's what business is, right? So if anyone tells you anything differently, they can guarantee zero failure and 100% success. Well, you may want to think a little bit more into that, right? But here's the good news. The stuff that I'm going to teach are principle-based things, right? Meaning they're not things that are going to be trendy today and then, it doesn't work in a few months from now kind of thing. But it's more like the stuff that applies today and 10 years from now, right? And I know it's sort of a big statement, right? You might be thinking like, come on, dude, like, nothing's good in 10 years from now. But the beauty is, right, the principles of life are principles, right? And they apply today. They apply 1,000 years today. And we'll jump into that here in a second. So are you ready? We'll jump into pillar 1 starting now. So pillar number 1, okay, to the road of building a full-time photography business is the marketing and client acquisition process, okay? So this pillar is the bedrock of your business, right? Seriously, this is your entire business rests, wins or fails on this one pillar, okay? So you can do all the other stuff in the world that you want, but if you don't have this pillar set up, you are more than likely not going to build a full-time photography business. So, and this also is the one thing that, at least for Lauren and I, we've not seen to be really taught that much in the photography space. And again, caveat, I'm sure there's some amazing educators out there, but for our experience, this one pillar, it really doesn't get touched, right? You get taught, all different types of things like, hey, do SEO, right? So let your website rank organically. And here's how you post your client photos to social media and make a good caption. And this is how you, edit quicker. And this is how to shoot. And, but there's really nothing about people saying, hey, this is how you predictably scale and grow your photography business to get more customers profitably and repeatedly, right? Like the most important thing is like, hey, how do I know for sure I'm going to book X amount of sessions this month, right? People don't really talk about that, at least for us. Again, I want to caveat by saying there could be folks out there teaching it. And then here's what we heard all the time too. We heard everyone talking about, hey, photography is just a seasonal thing. And you're going to get busy and then you're not really going to have any bookings, right? But, Lauren and I, we kind of looked around. We're like, what other business, like generates most of their business in short period of times? And there are businesses that are seasonal, but I'm like, why does photography have to fall into that category, right? Like, I'm pretty sure people, want photos more than just a few times a year, right? There's people that just think, hey, it would be nice to get a photo of me, our family, like a nice portrait family, during random months of the year. So why can't you work with those folks too, right? So that was kind of the thought process we had. It was like, we know everyone's saying it's seasonal, and of course you can do seasonal things, but why can't you do this full time every month of the year, right? So that was kind of what was going through our head. And we realized that the difference was that most photographers were banking their entire business on the seasonal demand, right? And then after that demand went away, like there was no business anymore, right? Maybe they did like one-off stuff, but I'm like, ooh, like that doesn't sound good. Like I don't think it doesn't really sound like a business that you can do consistently if you're just banking off seasonal stuff, right? So anyway, and we saw that they were relying on posting. Like this was a big tactic, was like, hey, post in free Facebook groups to generate leads. And we've done that before, but unfortunately we got ourselves banned from a lot of pages, right? I get it, because it kind of looks like, spammy, whatever, I understand. But we saw a lot of folks, that's what their sole thing was, like, let me post in Facebook groups, or, like you'll, in a local Facebook group, someone will say, hey, I'm looking for a family photographer, right? I'm sure you've seen those posts, and there's like 200 different comments of photographers, right? And we've done that as well. And we found success doing that. So I'm not saying you can't find success. I'm just saying that's not really a predictable way to grow your business full time. Okay. Struggle city is what I call it. Okay. Trust me. And I'm there, right? I don't want to knock you if you're doing that, because we were absolutely there in April, right? That little 1K month, right? Those are kind of the tactics that we initially started with. So, but after that, this is what we did that really changed the game for us. So we started investing in tons of courses, right? Outside of the photography industry, had nothing to do with photography. And we started to apply the principles that we learned into our business, right? So lots of marketing, business courses, books, mentors, you name it. So for example, one of the things we learned from direct marketing, okay, was, hey, the beauty of marketing, right, when you track it correctly, is you can spend $1 and make $2, right? So that's all business is, right? Can I spend $1 and make $2? So if you're in construction, if you're a photographer, if you run a pizzeria, can I spend $1 and get $2 back? That's all business is, right? So photography is included. It's business, right? So that was one of the things we learned was, okay, if I can spend $1 and make $2, I'm in business, and then I can scale that up, okay? That was the first thing we learned. The second thing we learned was, hey, we can build these things called sales funnels to attract the right customers that we're looking for. So we can go out and we can market directly to the folks that we would personally love to work with and send them down a little funnel where we can collect their information. We can have a conversation and we can book them in our calendar. Okay. So that was the second thing we learned, is creating a funnel. After that, we figured out, okay, we can predictably know how many sales calls we need to generate from our advertising. And then we figured out on average how many of those phone calls we're going to close. And then essentially, once we know that, we'll know how many sessions we're going to fulfill that month. So that's when things started clicking for us, when we realized, wow, this is pretty cool. I can spend some money, right? I can market directly to the folks I want to work with. A percentage of those will be interested. They'll book a call with us. And a certain percentage of those folks will turn into clients. Okay, cool. So now that I figured that out, I just need to spend enough money to do the amount of sessions that we'd like to do. And that's really the first pillar, right? Rinse, wash, and repeat. Seriously, in fact, right, we started doing this marketing acquisition process right as the pandemic started, right? Crazy, but it's true. We weren't concerned because we knew the principles of business work, right? Seasonality or pandemic included. They work, right? You spend money, right, on advertising. You get in front of the people, you put an offer in front of them, and a certain percentage will want to talk more with you. And so as we went through those courses, like we were learning all of these principles, were like the epiphany, the light bulb started going off. Like, we need to do this for our photography business, right? So I should say, granted, we had to wait until businesses were allowed to operate to actually fulfill those sessions. But during this whole process, that 8-month period, right, we were pre-booking and taking 50% deposits like crazy people, and for the period of time that we had to wait to fulfill those actual sessions, right? So although we couldn't meet with them in person for the first few months, we were booking people over the phone and essentially pre-booking people like crazy, okay? So how did we do it? We used a combination of a technique called cold outreach with paid ads on Facebook, okay, to start. And here's the basic principle. You identify the group of people you'd love to work with. Okay. In our case, it was realtors and business owners, since we do personal branding. In your case, it may be newly engaged couples. It may be folks that are about to get married or planning a wedding. Maybe it is families. Maybe you target women with children. You name it, right? So that's the first piece, is identify who do you want to work with, okay? Secondly, is create an offer that's appealing to them. Okay. In our case, it was $100 off a branding session, right? And so here's another thing we learned, right? A lot of folks that we've talked to, right, in our niche will say, I don't want to give discounts. It just attracts cheap people, and I have the best service. I have a really good service. I don't want to cheapen it. And that's something we hear a lot in the creative space, right? People will say that. But the reality is, in the business world, right? And when you go to shop, what are you looking for? A lot of times you're looking for high quality, number one, but you're looking for a deal, right? And your best clients are looking for the same. Now, you don't have to discount your service, 100% off, but you need, if people have never worked with you, they don't know you, right? You're trying to start scaling your business. You have to make what you offer attractive, right? And that's sort of one of the principles of direct marketing, which, maybe we'll make another mini course for you. We can talk more about that, but that's the second layer, right? So first layer, identify the group of people you'd love to work with. And number two is create an offer that's appealing to them, okay? And number three is book calls with those who are interested in chatting more, okay? So you book the calls either through paid advertising or through the organic outreach method that I mentioned, okay? And you'll close, in our case, 10 to 20% of the phone calls that we take, right? And then make money, right? So you make money, you close those people, and then you send more cold messages or you run more paid ads, and you just continue that cycle over and over and over and over again, right? Market to the people you love to work with, put an offer in front of them, book phone calls, close a percentage, make money over and over and over again, okay? Get yourself out of the seasonal mentality, right? Now you're putting the business owner cap on and saying, I'm going to run this thing full time. I'm going to market, and I'm going to run it like a business, okay? I'm going to pay to book phone calls. I'm going to close a certain percentage. I'm going to make that money. I'm going to redeploy it back into more marketing, okay? That's the secret. And that's it. No secret sauce behind it. The secret is it's not a secret, okay? Businesses have been doing this for eons, okay? Just the photography niche, for some reason, we haven't necessarily grabbed hold of that. But I think maybe some folks are talking about it. That's why we're fired up to talk about it, okay? And just to recap, again, growing your photography business is a matter of having a predictable way, that's the key word, to generate new leads for your business every day, okay? And book new phone calls or meetings with people every day and close new clients every day, right? That's it. If you make a post on a free Facebook group and you get a couple leads and then you get banned, like, you're not going to be able to generate leads every day, right? So creating a system through paid advertising, maybe through some organic methods like organic outreach, sending folks DMs, reaching out to folks on LinkedIn, things of that nature. You're generating new leads into your business every day. You're booking a call with a percentage of those folks, and you're closing a percentage of those folks, right? Do that every day, okay? And if you don't have a client acquisition machine, that is the sole reason why your business is stuck where it's at, right? You can't just wave a wand and say, oh, all of a sudden my business is going to grow, right? Like, you have to have a plan. So I hope that helps you a little bit. So specifically, what would I recommend for you to do in order to build that machine, okay? Well, let's start off with maybe you're in the position where you don't have around $1,000 to spend on Facebook ads, right? If you're going to run Facebook ads, you should spend a decent amount of money to get yourself results. Like, if you spend $5 a day, it's going to take way, way, way too long to get results. So you may as well kind of wait until you have about $1,000 to spend on Facebook ads. So if you don't have that money, totally cool. You can do the organic outreach method that we actually also did at first, and we got lots of clients that way, okay? So maybe do that organic outreach method, get some cash, and then you can go hire a virtual assistant to do it for you, which is exactly what we do. We have a full-time virtual assistant that does this organic outreach method for us on top of our paid ads. So even though we have the cash now, the capital to reinvest in marketing, we still do these organic methods. And we do have a course if you're interested in learning how to do that. It'll actually be with a button below this video. So now let's say you do have $1,000 to test on advertising. I would run some ads, run some paid advertising, right? Generate leads, and then build a funnel to have them book a call with you to chat more about your service, right? And again, don't want to plug our courses and everything like that, but we do have a course that also teaches you how to run profitable advertising to build your photography business. Okay, that's it. Pillar number one. I know that was a lot, okay? But hopefully for a lot of you, that's sort of an epiphany of like, oh, okay, I get it. All I'm doing is just running my photography business like a business. I'm spending money. I'm generating leads. I'm booking a certain percentage of those leads on a phone call or an in-person meeting or whatever. And I'm closing a certain percentage of those phone calls. And then I make money. And then I redeploy it and do the same process over and over and over again. Right. And then so, of course, the season comes and you do even more business. But once the seasonal stuff is over, right, like your mini sessions or whatever the case is, then you go back to just continuing building your business on the quote unquote off season, right? You're just doing business year round, right? That's the secret, is having a marketing client acquisition process. Okay. Pillar number one. And I'll just, again, recap: to grow your photography business to multiple six figures a year, you need to have a process that predictably brings new leads, new bookings into your business every single week. Okay. Organic posting or relying on the seasons is not going to cut it. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. So if you're ready for pillar number two, let's go ahead and jump into that together. So pillar number two, like we spoke about at the start, is the automation and systems pillar. Okay. So you got your marketing, got leads and customers coming in, pillar one. Pillar two is creating automation and systems now. Okay. So after you've started generating new leads into your business from your marketing, you then need to find a way to automate what happens as these new leads come in, right? For example, you get 100 new leads that come into your business that month from your marketing, organic outreach, or from paid ads, or a combination of both. And studies say that you need to get to each lead within 5 minutes in order to have the highest chance of converting them to a client, right? So if you wait till the next day to talk to these leads, your chances of actually booking them, go down by like 90%. It's pretty wild. So studies show that. Okay, so we know that now. Okay, we get generating leads, but we have to get to them within 5 minutes. But let me ask you this: what happens if you're busy when the lead comes in, right? Maybe you're sleeping, right? Or if you're away from your phone at the moment. Okay. Automation is what takes care of that for you. Okay. So for instance, you can automate sending a text message and an email anytime a new lead comes into your system, right? And that text and email can go push them to book a call with you, right? So you're not sending them the text, hey, I just got your inquiry. I'd love to chat with you. Go book a call with this link. You don't have to worry about doing it. Automation will take care of it for you, right? So that literally we have leads come in, at 3 a.m. Sometimes people are browsing Facebook and they see our ad. And obviously we're not awake to send them a text, but our automation will, and we'll wake up and we'll say, cool, we got 3 book calls last night, right? Or whatever the case is. So that's why we use automation. So you can automate sending text messages and email reminders that your call is coming up in 10 minutes so that your lead remembers to answer the phone, right? Because you'll book phone calls with folks, but they'll forget. So you can set up automation to say, hey, Susie, just a reminder, we have our call to chat about, your interest in a photography session in about 10 minutes, right? So you can do that. You can automate sending invoices, contracts, you name it, right? So as you start to get very busy with all of these new leads coming in, again, you need to find a way to be streamlined, right? And make sure that everything runs smoothly. Okay. So, hopefully that makes sense, right? Pillar one, get yourself busy with the new leads. Pillar number two, find a way to systematize and automate what happens when you get busy. Okay. So how do you set up automation? Then that's a good question. All right. So we use a software that's called Zapier or Zapier, however you want to pronounce it, to set up all of our automation. And essentially what we do is Zapier helps us connect all of the different softwares we have so that they can all connect and run in unison together, right? So really what you have to do is just map out your client journey, right? And then you use automation to fulfill most of that journey for you. So hopefully that makes sense, right? So when I talk about client journey, it just means, hey, they see an ad on Facebook and they fill out a quick form. What happens next, right? You just sit down, you map out the whole thing. You could tell yourself, okay, the next thing that happens is I'm going to send them a text message to go book a call with me, right? Okay, cool. What happens when they book a call? Okay, then I want to send a text that said, text confirmation says, hey, Susie, so awesome. You just booked your call. Look forward to talking with you at Monday at 2, right? Okay. Then what happens next, right? You have your phone call, right? You map the entire journey out, and then you use Zapier, right? And you try to automate most of that journey. Okay. Some things are going to require human interaction, like you talking, right? But you'll be surprised at how much of the stuff you can automate. Okay, cool. So hopefully that makes sense, right? Pillar one is get yourself extremely busy with marketing and have a client acquisition machine. Step two, pillar number two, is have automation and systems to take care of all of the new leads and customers that you'll be working with. Okay. And pillar number three, our last pillar, right, is our delegation pillar. Okay. So up to this point, again, we talked about the foundation of building your business through marketing and how to make sure it all runs smoothly without you. Okay. Automation. Lastly, again, like I spoke about, there's just certain things that can't be automated and is going to require you or somebody else to do them. Okay. And the key word is somebody else. So that's where we get to pillar number 3, not 23. Forgive the typo, delegation. Okay. So now that you're generating tons of new leads, new clients, new sessions that you have to fulfill, you're going to have a lot of things on your plate, right? That automation is unable to take care of for you. So here are some examples. Editing your photos, right? So now that you're fulfilling all of these new sessions, right? How much time could you imagine you're going to be spending editing photos, right? Quite a bit. If you do 30 sessions a month, or more, it's going to be a lot of editing time. Okay. So, you can't really automate that, but you can certainly have somebody do it for you. Okay. So that's one example. Number two, another example is following up with the 80% of the new leads that came into your business that didn't book with you yet. Right. Because here is the key, right? If you've ever been in sales or you're just learning about sales and marketing, not everyone you talk to is going to book, right? I'm sure you know that already, right? And it's typically going to be 10 to 20% of folks that you talk to will actually move forward. So what happens to the other 80%, right? Follow-ups for your business, and this will be for another video, is key, right? A lot of studies show that 80% of your revenue will come from follow-ups, and a lot of folks do not follow up. So it's absolutely critical. Someone has to do it, right? But when you're generating all these new leads and you're busy fulfilling the sessions, someone's going to have to follow up with those leads. Okay. So that would be another delegation example. Another one would be sending session reminders to the sessions you have coming up. Now you might be able to automate this, but a lot of the times it's going to take a human interaction to check your calendar, to see the reschedules, to see who's still on your schedule for that month, for that week, for that day. And someone just to send out session reminders to your clients. Hey, look forward to meeting with you today or tomorrow at 3:00 for your session. Just reply back to confirm, right? So that could be another example of delegation. Maybe sending review link reminders to your clients. So you just worked with somebody, you just finished their session, you had a great time together. It was a family, maybe it was an individual, or a wedding or an engagement session, right? Obviously, we know that reviews are so important. Again, that'll be, talk about that, the network effect, I call it. Other people call it. But reviews, so important, right? So having somebody send out those text messages after your session to say, hey, had a great time chatting with you. I'd love if you had a great time working with us to leave us a review, right? Extremely important. And on and on and on and on, right? So there's just lots of other things that you can't necessarily create automation for, but that is worth doing, that just requires somebody doing it, okay? So you might be thinking, okay, cool. So how do I delegate this stuff? It's a great question. So what we do is we hire amazing virtual assistants for $3 to $5 an hour to take care of it for us. And we provide them with extremely basic SOPs, which is just a fancy acronym that stands for Standard Operating Procedures. And all a standard operating procedure is a very basic step-by-step manual for our virtual assistant to follow, okay? And we also work with other service providers to take care of our editing, our bookkeeping, and things of that nature, right? So we've been able to delegate that stuff to somebody else, either somebody on our team, like a VA, or a service provider that can do our editing and bookkeeping. So, and then once you get to this point, then you're able to focus on the high level parts of your business instead of like being bogged down in the day-to-day mundane task of editing and sending text messages and follow-ups and stuff like that, right? So to wrap up, again, this is the 3-pillar process. It's what allows us to predictably grow our business, automate about 80% of the process, and delegate the rest. And really, I hope this training helped you. I know we've been here for a short while together, but hopefully your wheels are turning and you're thinking like, wow, okay, like this is possible. Even if I'm a wedding photographer, a family portrait photographer, personal branding photographer, an engagement photographer, right? Like hopefully now you're recognizing like, okay, it's just the art of building a client attraction machine, right? A lead generation machine to predictably generate brand new prospects every day, right? Book calls with them, close a certain percentage, right? Automate what happens after that, delegate the rest, and put that on repeat over and over and over again, right? So hopefully this was a blessing to you. I truly hope it was. We've spent a lot of time like learning these different principles and applying it to our business and finding out what works. So I really hope it blessed you. And if you're interested in learning more, about how to do this for your business, we do have a few different courses. You can actually click the button below to be able to check that out. You don't have to, but anyway, just wanted to put it out there. If you wanted to deep dive it, you can certainly check out the courses. But anyway, friend, hope you had an amazing day. I had a great time hanging out with you in this little mini course together. And I'm sure I will see you sometime down the road. Bye now.